Hey BookTube, welcome back to part 2 of the Saturday New Books video, so let's get right to it. Alright, so this book just came in the other day, and this is from Chicago Review Press. So I'm not really familiar with this review press, but this one caught my attention, and I might have to check out more of their stuff. But, you know, I'm a big fan of, like, early American history, and, you know, I'm a big fan of, like, reading about the colony of Roanoke, what happened there, but also leading into Jamestown and just, you know, the early settlements. So check out this, guys. This is a brand new book. This is called A Stranger Among Saints. Stephen Hopkins, the Man Who Survived Jamestown and Saved Plymouth, by Jonathan Mack. Again, this is by a Chicago Review Press. That's their logo there, their brand. Just came out. So let me just read this real quick. In 1609, on a voyage to resupply England's troubled Jamestown colony, this is what this is about. The Sea Venture. I had a book a long time ago called The Sea Venture. Oh, okay. The Sea Venture was caught in a hurricane and shipwrecked off the coast of Bermuda. The tale of its marooned survivors eventually inspired William Shakespeare's The Tempest. I had no idea.
Okay. You know what I learned today about naked books?
What did you learn about naked books today?
What you told me?
That's great. And decollages. No, she learned that a while ago.
Like 6 months.
6 months ago. So wow, the Sea Venture's shipwreck inspired The Tempest. Wow, that's so cool. Anyway,
Is there anything that William Shakespeare did not steal?
Oh.
Ripped from the headlines.
Now we're definitely going to get a negative comment for that, implying that Shakespeare was a
writer if it weren't for, you know,
yeah.
his calligraphy skills.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
That's all she's going to say. That's enough to warrant a deluge of Shakespeare defenders.
Can't wait. Bring it.
Okay, she says bring it. But anyway, but for one castaway, it was only the beginning. A Stranger Among Saints traces the life of Stephen Hopkins, who spent 10 months stranded with the Sea Venture crew, during which he was charged with attempted mutiny and condemned to die, only to have his sentence commuted just before it was carried out. Hopkins eventually made it to Jamestown, where he spent 6 years before returning to England and signing on to another colonial venture, this time with a group of religious radicals on the Mayflower. God, this guy, he couldn't get enough of making his life miserable by his own choices. No. Anyway. Hopkins was the only member of the party who had been across the Atlantic before, the only one who'd encountered America's native people and land. The Pilgrims, plagued by disease and contentious early encounters with indigenous Americans, turned to him for leadership. Hopkins played a vital role in bridging the divide of suspicion between the English immigrants and their native neighbors. Without him, these settlers would likely not have lasted throughout that brutal first year. Jonathan Mack is an attorney and official member of the General Society of Mayflower Descendants. Check that out. He's a graduate of Harvard Law School. Covers the Pilgrim Expedition, the Mayflower Compact, Finding Plymouth Rock. Good stuff. It's about a little over 200 pages, but a good history to add to my collection on like early American studies. So, A Stranger Among Saints. I will report back on that as well. I have Worshipping with the Reformers by Karen Magg. This kind of fits in with the Reformation commentary series that I subscribe to. I've collected the entire set of the Ancient Christian commentary series, and now the Reformation one is their newest series. The ancient ones obviously talked about the ancient early fathers, the earliest writers and theologians. I forget like where they cut off the timeline from ancient up until obviously Reformation would be more like 16th century or something like that. So this is just a let's see here in this volume. Yeah, this is a companion volume, as I was saying. It's a companion volume to IVP Academics Reformation Commentary on Scripture series. And in this, Reformation scholar Karen Magg takes readers inside the worshiping life of the church during this era. Drawing from sources across theological traditions, she explores several aspects of the church's worship, including what it was like to attend church, reforms in preaching, the function of prayer, how Christians experience the sacraments and the roles of both visual art and music in worship. So that's a very nice companion to the series that I subscribe to. Another book that is brand new release from IVP Press is Refuge Reimagined, Biblical Kinship in Global Politics by Mark R. Glanville and Luke Glanville, forward by Matthew Sorens. This appealed to me because, I'll just read a quick thing here. The global crisis of forced displacement is growing every year. At the same time, Western Christians' sympathy toward refugees is increasingly overshadowed by concerns about personal and national security, economics, and culture. We urgently need a perspective that understands both Scripture and current political realities, and that can be applied at the levels of the church, the nation, and the globe. In Refuge Reimagined, Mark and Luke Glanville offer a new approach to compassion for displaced people, a biblical ethic of kinship. God's people, they argue, are consistently called to extend kinship, a mutual responsibility and solidarity, to those who are marginalized and without a home. Drawing on their respective expertise in Old Testament studies and international relations, the two brothers engage a range of disciplines to demonstrate how this ethic is consistently conveyed throughout the Bible and can be practically embodied today. I really wanted to read this because I believe that is what the Bible is. It calls us to do. You know, we're not supposed to. We're supposed to extend hospitality and compassion to the stranger, and kinship for all God's children. So, Refuge Reimagined by IVP Press. Oh, and guess what, guys? This is put out by Harper One, but I like N.T. Wright a lot. He keeps putting out more books, this guy. Tom Wright, as he is known by his friends. But this is Broken Signposts, How Christianity Makes Sense of the World by N.T. Wright. And there's our guy. I love this guy. He's the guy I attend those classes with.
Oh, yeah,
Martine.
yes.
Okay, so this book is a follow-up to Simply Christian. It's a thoughtful follow-up to Simply Christian. Today's leading Bible scholar, Anglican bishop, and acclaimed author N.T. Wright uses the Gospel of John. Oh, I love the Gospel of John. I just finished reading that last year, studying it. Uses the Gospel of John to reveal how Christianity presents a compelling and relevant explanation for our world. So he talks about signposts here. Wright argues that every worldview must explain 7 signposts, the categories inherent to humanity by which we measure everything else: justice, spirituality, love, beauty, freedom, truth, and power. If we do not live up to their ideals, our societies and individual lives become unbalanced, creating anger, frustration, and division. Using the Gospel of John, Wright shows how Christianity not only conceives of these signposts and how they work together, but also why we experience them as broken and unattainable. Wright reveals how the Bible explains why these signposts are fractured and damaged, and how Christianity provides the vision, guidance, and hope for making them whole, ultimately healing ourselves and our world. In the end, Wright argues that the Christian faith is not something archaic that needs defending, but is a vibrant and coherent vision that makes sense of the world and provides hope and guidance for our future. It's about 190 pages. Small book, but knowing N.T. Wright, it packs a big spiritual, theological punch, So I'm looking forward to this one as well. I'm going to show you some books that Other Press has sent me. Other Press just keeps putting out lots of new stuff, translated fiction. I have one work of nonfiction here that looks really, really intriguing. This is an advanced reader copy. And I love reading about just studies about like literacy. I used to tutor reading. Oh, many years ago, back I'd meet someone at the library and teach them, help them to read. Although it was difficult because it was in English as a second language, and the training that I had received did not prepare me for that. I thought maybe I would be helping tutor someone who, dropped out of high school way early or middle school or something like that. But so I wasn't prepared to do the language difference. I wasn't able to. So, but I really believe in literacy. I just feel like people can take back some power, just learning to read. Obviously, I mean, we take it for granted here on BookTube that everyone can read. But anyway, this is a book called Forever Free, A True Story of Hope in the Fight for Child Literacy by Tracy Swinton Bailey, PhD. It's a small little book here. It's a memoir and a call to action, an intimate look at America's long-standing struggle to adequately educate vulnerable children and offering valuable insights for affecting change in families, communities, and nationwide. At the root of every important problem we face, from mass incarceration to income inequality, is an education system influenced by our nation's fraught history. Just as past generations fought to ensure that all Americans could enjoy the right to fully participate in our democracy, so must we rally tirelessly to advance an educational agenda that promotes equity and inclusion. With the gap between white academic achievement and that of students of color widening, now is the time to turn our attention to the basics. And few would argue with the fact that the single most essential aspect of a good education, is literacy. Beyond reading and writing, literacy encompasses a whole host of skills that allow us to develop our potential and succeed in society, including critical thinking, self-discipline, curiosity, leadership, and motivation. Helping all our nation's young people, especially those who live in low-income communities, improve their literacy skills should be a top priority. I really want to get back into doing something with literacy again. I'd like to see if there's a way I could. Anyway, I saw this book and was like, yes, I will read this and review this because it's so important. It's so important. And literacy is, just like this book said, it is so much more than just, your ABCs and reading and writing. It is critical thinking. It is a motivation. It is curiosity. And self-discipline. It's all those things. So it's important to inculcate that in our youth at a very young age. So, Forever Free. Oh, and this is coming out. This is coming out later this year. I actually have a little bit of time to read this before it is published. It comes out August 3rd. So I do have the advanced reader's copy. But this is coming out this summer. We've got The Absolutist, a novel by John Boyne. These are out right now. It is September 1919, and 21-year-old Tristan Sadler takes a train from London to Norwich to deliver a package of letters to the sister of Will Bancroft, the man he fought alongside during the Great War. But the letters are not the real reason for Tristan's visit. He can no longer keep a secret and has finally found the courage to unburden himself of it. As he recounts the horrific details of what to him became a senseless war, he also speaks of his friendship with Will, from their first meeting on the training grounds at Aldershot to their farewell in the trenches of northern France. The intensity of their bond brought Tristan happiness and self-discovery, as well as confusion and unbearable pain. The Absolutist is a masterful, unforgettable tale of passion, jealousy, heroism, and betrayal, set in one of the most gruesome trenches of France during World War I. John Boyne is He's an Irish author. He was born in Ireland in 1971. And he's written like 12 novels. Oh, I think he wrote The Boy in the Striped Pajamas too, but there's our author. This is in translation. This is In the Company of Men, a novel by Veronique Tajo. Yes, translated by the author in collaboration with John Cullen. It's a small little volume, about 130 pages. And it's about the Ebola outbreak, which this should be a very searing little read, I think. Drawing on real accounts of the Ebola outbreak that devastated West Africa, this poignant, timely fable reflects on both the strength and the fragility of life and humanity's place in the world. Again, another event that I'm interested in, although it's very, heartbreaking and scary in many ways. In the Company of Men. Let's see. Two boys venture from their village to hunt in a nearby forest, where they shoot down bats with glee and cook their prey over an open fire. Within a month, they are dead, bodies ravaged by an insidious disease that neither the local healer's potions nor the medical team's treatments could cure. Compounding the family's grief, experts warn against touching the sick, but this caution comes too late. The virus spreads rapidly, and the boy's father is barely able to send his eldest daughter away for a chance at survival. And this says here at the bottom, acutely relevant to our times in light of the coronavirus pandemic, In the Company of Men explores critical questions about how we cope with a global crisis and how we can combat fear and prejudice. So indeed, a timely story, timely book. Rather intriguing. It's called Zabor, or The Psalms, a novel by Kamel Daoud, translated by Emma Ramadan. It's a fable. It says a fable, parable, and confession. The second novel from the acclaimed author of The Mersault Investigation pays homage to the essential need for fiction and the freedom from tradition afforded by an adopted language. Interesting. Having lost his mother and been shunned by his father, Zabor grows up in the company of books, which teach him a new language. Ever since he can remember, he has been convinced that he has a gift. If he writes, he will stave off death. Those captured in the sentences of his notebooks will live longer. Like a kind of inverted Scheherazade, saving his fellow men, he experiments night after night with the delirious power of the imagination. Then one night, his estranged half-brother and the other relatives who would disown him come knocking at the door. His father is going to die, and perhaps only Zabor is capable of delaying that fateful moment. Sitting next to the father who has ostracized him, the son writes compulsively, retracing an existence characterized by strangeness, abandonment, and humiliation, but also by wondrous encounters with fictional worlds that he alone and the entire village can access. Doesn't that sound interesting? Book Riot said this was the must-read 2021 books in translation. This was one of them, Zabor. Library Journal titles to watch in 2021. So, okay, it's getting a lot of, it's a New York Times Globetrotting selection. Yay, all right. I'm excited to read this. This came out March 2nd, so it's brand new. Again, put out by Other Press. And here's our author, Kamel Daoud. And Emma Ramadan did the translation. So it almost seems like it's like, how can this book be written so soon? But it's coming out in August of this year. So again, I have a lot of time to go through this. And maybe they'll make some additions. I'm not sure. This is called Beirut 2020, Diary of the Collapse by Sharif Majdalani. This is my advanced reader's copy. But will be coming out in August from Other Press. Told in elegant, evocative prose, a devastating and necessary testament to the August explosion that thoughtfully examines the crises that preceded it and its aftermath. Okay, so this is coming out in August, and it's probably going to mark the one-year anniversary of that explosion. It says here, at the start of the summer of 2020, in a Lebanon ruined by economic crisis and political corruption, in an exhausted Beirut still rising up for true democracy while the world was paralyzed by the coronavirus, Sharif Majdalani set about writing a journal. He intended to bear witness to this terrible, confusing time, and perhaps endure it by putting it into words, using small, everyday interactions with fellow restaurant patrons, repairmen, the father of his wife's patient, a young Syrian refugee, as openings to address larger systemic problems. He explains how events in Lebanon's recent history led to this point. Then, on August 4th, the explosion of 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate in the port of Beirut devastated the city and the country. Majdalani's chronicle suddenly became a record of the catastrophe, which left more than 200 dead and thousands injured, and the massive public outcry that followed. In the midst of the senseless chaos and grief, however, he continues to find cause for hope in the kindness and resilience of those determined to stay and rebuild. Wow. So yeah, this book will be coming out August 3rd, it's like the day before the anniversary of the explosion in the port. So how interesting. He was already writing a journal chronicling just the country's malaise, and then this happens right as he's doing that, covering the country. So talk about you are there moment. They're short little entries for each, they're journal entries for each day. I saw that this was coming out, and I was like, oh, I would love to read this. Because I was really interested after I heard about the explosion. I didn't know that, Lebanon was already just dealing with so much, corruption, as they were saying, and just nothing could get done in the city, and people were struggling to work, and just, and Beirut back in the day used to be just the like the Paris of the Middle East. I think they called it. Beirut was. So yeah, I do want to read it. It's going to be a tough read, but anyway, that's coming out in August. Last book. So I apologize for the delay in showing some of these, which have come in over the month of March. It's been a crazy March, but guess what? We're going to make April and every month after super special. It's going to be great.
We are?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to find a house. Woo!
Buy cookies.
We're going to, you know what? It's all about being happy. Life is short.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
The cookies?
Choose.
Yeah, choose cookies.
Choose cookies and choose happiness.
There you go.
Right?
T-shirt.
So this was actually an author contacted me on, I think it was Twitter. And I apologize, Andrew, for not getting this onto the channel sooner. This is a book put out by Tartarus Press. I don't know how to describe it just yet. I need to dig in and start reading the, it's a novel. Now it's called Ezra Sleff, not self, Sleff, Ezra Sleff, The Next Nobel Laureate in Literature by Andrew Komarnitsky. And I should know because people claim that I have a published last name, which it's German, but anyway, I should know how to pronounce this, Andrew Komarnitsky. Please correct me and let me know in the future in Twitter. But anyway, this is his book. And that is his actual picture. I've seen him on Twitter. That's so it's interesting. It's okay, let me just read this. Check this out. The pioneering writings of celebrated Russian novelist Ezra Sleff have made him a titan of contemporary postmodernism, with a worldwide following keen to know more about the man behind the books. Enter Humbert Botkin, a disgraced former professor of literature and Sleff's biggest admirer. He writes the definitive biography of Sleff with compendious notes, an introduction, a list of plates, and a glossary. But Botkin's narrative soon spirals dangerously out of control. A supreme egotist, Botkin cannot resist assuming the foreground, so that his ostensible biography of Sleff gradually changes into a personal memoir in which we learn far more about the biographer than about his subject. The narrative is both sinister and darkly comic. Botkin's secrets include making a Faustian pact with a well-traveled gentleman who bears an uncanny resemblance to the devil, a likeness the self-absorbed Botkin fails to notice, even as his world collapses around him.
There you go. What's
You
the
know
lesson
what?
there,
This sounds
kids?
like the type of novel that I just, yes.
You'll be giggling about this at 2 in the morning.
I'll be giggling about it at 2 in the morning. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of great stuff, maybe a little bit of experiential writing, I don't know. But what a beautiful volume from Tartarus Press.
Also, I gotta say, I love the names. I absolutely love the character names.
Andrew, we love Ezra Sleff and we love Botkin. It is, and the book comes, it's beautiful. It has its own ribbon. This is just a beautiful volume. Oh, wow. And if you take the dust jacket off, wow. Wow. Look at that. It's a naked dust jacket or a naked book cover all by itself. Look at this. Yes, thank you, Andrew, for hooking me up with this review copy of your book, Ezra Sleff.
That's the sort of thing I read. I totally would.
And Tartarus Press for sending this to me. And I just love it. They even gave me a nice little cover letter that says it's from North Yorkshire. Once I finish up a couple of things for deadline, this is next on my bedside table. So,
I might give that a look after you.
and you know what? There you go. That says a lot. If Martine is showing interest in reading something that I'm showing, Andrew, you've scored. You've scored with this. So, yeah, we'll report back on Ezra Sleff. And to all of my friends out there who love reading just like, contemporary fiction, but like a little bit of postmodernism, experiential writing maybe, writing that kind of pushes the envelope. I'm guessing this is kind of how it's going to read, but I don't know yet. But Got a lot of friends on BookTube that do like this kind of writing. You guys check this out. See where you can get your hands on this. Probably on Amazon, I'm imagining. This was sent to me from England, but I'm sure it's available. So, okay, having said that, I have gone through now all of the new books that I have unboxed from the month of March, and today's April 3rd. I'm going to shelve, and then I have
No,
to...
you're not going to shelve.
I'm not going to shelve.
You're going to box away.
I'm going to box away. Yes, this is the other problem, guys. Yeah, I have to find a place to put these and start scheduling my reading for the summer. Hopefully in a new house with a garden, with a porch swing in the back,
Yeah.
with a big pitcher of lemonade, and my stack of books.
That would be.
I can't wait for that.
Would be a YouTube of you sleeping with the book over your face.
She says it's a
what
book.
would be. That's what
It'll
would
be a BookTube video of me sleeping with the book on my face. It could be. Not if it's a great book, though.
Regardless.
Good books, though. She says I fall asleep easily anyway, and I kind of do. But anyway, okay, guys, so those are the new books. Let me know what you think. Johnny Keene, we love you. Keep being you. Okay, power to the people.
Keep it up.
Keep it up. I'm going to keep being me, and I don't have anything else to say about that. I love all of you guys out there. You know it. I'm all about peace, love, and applesauce, whatever. How does that go? You know what? I'm full of love, baby. Love.
You're full of something.
I'm full of something. You know it. Okay, guys. I'll be talking to you soon. I have another video of books that I've purchased. So there you go.
Peace out.
Bye.